Well, I'm going to start by just addressing some of the remarks made by Labor and the Greens, which is really quite extraordinary, and some that I found personally quite offensive, that a man is not a financial plan. Now, nowhere in this bill does it have any kind of connotation that a man is a financial plan. And unless Labor and the Greens have some kind of magic solution that is going to mean women, like myself, I've had 3 children, that has necessitated me having to take time off work to have those children. Unless Labor and the Greens can solve that issue for women, then why shouldn't a family, so a man and wife, a wife and wife, decide that for the care of children that they will actually share their super contributions and make that decision on an annual basis? What it tells me about Labor and the Greens is they don't value the unpaid work that happens in childcare and child raising that happens within the family, that they don't value that and they don't respect that. So rather than coming up with actual issues with the structure of this bill, all they are doing is throwing out very crazy, reckless ideas that somehow women are dependent on men asking for this. Now, I can tell you that in my family situation, even though I was the one who had time off work, my super balance is actually higher than my husband's because he's self-employed. So, I was very lucky to have a higher super balance. Why couldn't I do it the other way and share with him? Why are Labor and the Greens assuming that this only goes one way when it comes to super? Now, of course, my situation is probably not what most Australians experience, but certainly there would be a lot of people in that situation. But really what this bill is trying to do, and I congratulate my colleague Jane Hume for introducing this bill to the parliament, because we all know that women aged over 55 are the largest growing group experiencing homelessness in Australia, and largely that is because they have less super. So when there is a marriage breakup or a relationship breakdown, it is women who are significantly behind financially. A lot of them might have taken time off work to raise children. It might be that they're now empty nesters and they've spent that time doing the care work around the house. It's difficult to find employment. You might not have a very large super balance. And so these women are now disproportionately showing up in our statistics for homelessness. And what this bill is trying to do is to address that. So rather than finding frivolous reasons why not to do something, because you want to do something and fix everyone's problems, why don't we tackle this one particular problem, which I think this bill actually does? Making the superannuation system fairer for women and enabling families to make a choice what they would like to do with their money. Now, I think what we hear from Labor and the Greens is they hate Australians to have choice. They don't want you to be able to decide what you can do with your money. They want to tell you what will happen. And let's be honest, superannuation accounts are just a piggy bank for Labor. When they run out of money, they will absolutely come after yours. They will come after Australians' superannuation balances. So it scares them a little bit if we're actually going to start making the superannuation system fairer for women in particular. Now, Labor's solution to this problem is, and they've given us a long list of things that they've said that they're going to do, because they think that just by addressing the pay gap that will magically fix super. Well, once again, I would say, unless there is a solution to meaning that women don't have to take time off work for childbirth, and I can tell you after having 3 natural deliveries, I was very grateful to have some time off work, and it certainly exceeded what my sick leave allocation would have been. So unless there is a solution to that, addressing the gender pay gap is not sufficient. That is not a sufficient measure to address what is happening in the reality of superannuation in this country. So Labor doesn't value family. They're not valuing the unpaid work contribution that Australians make within their own family situation, and they don't value Australians having that personal responsibility and that personal choice to do it. And I will say, looking at that example of the $5.5 million, I think it was, that was just to demonstrate the guardrails that are in place for the bill. That's not saying that Australians have that super balance and that is a normal one. It's just to demonstrate that there are guardrails that have been put into this bill to show that you can't just transfer whole balances over from one partner to the other. So I think it is a little disingenuous to say that that's a sort of disturbing number and again, that a man is not a financial plan. I would say the care that women across our country put into raising children and having children, why wouldn't you be able to split superannuation? Couples do. You might split the electricity bill. You might split the mortgage payments. You're able to split a superannuation and legislatively you're required to aggregate superannuation at the time that a relationship or a marriage dissolves. Why can't you choose to do that when you're happily together? Why does it have to be only in the dissolution of a relationship that there is some equity that's put into the superannuation system? What this bill does is it's a way of saying, for one partner to say to the other, I'm valuing what you're doing, staying at home, raising and caring children, and we can split the super so that it's fair, because one partner can say to the other, I accept, and it is usually the woman or the mother that stays at home to raise the children. It's saying that that's great, I'm valuing what you're doing staying home in the workplace, and I accept that you may not be getting paid for that work. So I think there are a lot of reasons why Labor have said they don't support the bill. What I haven't seen is a good reason not to do it. This is really about giving individuals the opportunity to decide what works best for them and their family. And I think the Coalition has a fantastic record on superannuation. Unlike Labor over there, who use it as a piggy bank, it's run for their union mates, the Coalition, in the time we were in government, has made superannuation far fairer, more efficient and transparent. We've capped fees on low balances, we've banned fees on rollovers and investment switches, we've made expensive insurance premiums opt-in rather than opt-out for young people, we've abolished the $450 rule. So I think on this side of the chamber, we certainly in the Coalition have a very, very strong record when it comes to making our super system in Australia fair. This also isn't necessarily for older people. Younger people can choose to opt into this scheme as well. And for us, the Coalition has Your Future, Your Super reforms, and that ensured that workers' funds follow them from job to job, so that young workers didn't have to start a new super fund every time they changed employers. So it is like Labor to say that they invented superannuation, but it did take the Coalition government to make superannuation work for members instead of the unions and super fund managers. This bill tackling the gender super gap is the next step to ensuring that superannuation in Australia is more flexible and fair, particularly for women, making sure that your hard-earned dollars in your superannuation accounts are working for you and your family and not for Labor and Labor's mates.